Happy New Year is the 13th episode of the 4th season of Full House. This is directed by Zwick, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it's a really delightful episode. To be honest, not much happens. There's not a lot of variety in the narrative, so there's not too much for me to talk about, but I will go through things chronologically and share some thoughts. But even with that in mind, I thought it was very well done. I really love, in general, holiday-themed episodes of sitcoms, and the house is beautifully decorated for Christmas. There's this gorgeous Christmas tree. It's absolutely stunning. We have some beautiful outfits as well. Michelle's outfit at the end is gorgeous, and Stephanie's pink outfit, absolutely love. And DJ has some gorgeous star earrings at the beginning. The opening scene is actually Michelle with a caterpillar, and DJ is telling her about butterflies. It's a nice way to start things off. After the intro, everything else is about the main narrative, and it all takes place on New Year's Eve and a little bit of New Year's Day. And Joey doesn't have a date. He's phoning people to try and find a date, and unfortunately everybody's busy or they've become a nun. And Danny, of course, has Cindy, and Jesse and Becky are together, and they decide, Danny and Jesse, to make a tape to try and find Joey a date. And he gets a date with Christine. Unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, but I think everything worked out well. But DJ is actually going to Kimmy's New Year's Eve party, and she was supposed to be watching Michelle and Stephanie. But Joey said, go to the party, I'll watch the girls because I don't have anything else to do. And I do think it's a little bit strange that Joey wasn't invited to any of the other New Year's Eve events, because just because he doesn't have a date doesn't mean you can't do things on New Year's Eve. So it is a little bit strange that he didn't actually have plans just because he didn't have a date, but nevertheless, things worked out well. He gets a date with Christine, and she agrees to come over to the house. Having a first date with somebody in their house when you've never met them before could go horribly wrong. If this was a horror, it would be a disaster, but obviously that's not what happens here, and they get on immediately. She's played by Yvette, and she's really brilliant. She's a really likeable character, and just before midnight, everybody comes home. The police kind of put an end to Kimmy's party because about 400 people turned up, and Danny and Cindy and Jesse and Becky decide to come home as well because they want to spend the last few seconds of the year in the countdown with all of the people they love, which is really sweet and goes back to my point when I was saying it's a little bit strange that they're all off doing their own thing. New Year's in general, maybe it's more of a British thing, I don't know, but generally if you're doing something for New Year, you're doing it as a group. It's very rarely just a couple's thing. Maybe it's different in the States. Or in 1990 when this aired. And either way, everybody comes home. It's a really lovely scene. Everybody's together, and then we have the countdown, and they all kiss, and Michelle kisses Comet, who is being a very good boy, and Stephanie has bitten into an onion, and Rusty says he was just teasing her, he wasn't going to kiss her, so she kisses him with her onion breath. And I loved it. I thought Stephanie was absolutely brilliant. And then we have a little bit of time in the new year, and Joey and Christine don't want this to end, so they decide to get married. And it's definitely the kind of narrative where if they wanted to, they could have extended it to a two-parter and left us on a bit of a cliffhanger. I think that would have been quite powerful, actually, and I would have been keen to see how they developed it, but that's not the way they went, and that's fine. And I'm saying this as somebody who generally doesn't care for two-parters. I prefer it, in general, when the narrative is wrapped up in one episode. But with that one, actually, I thought it would have been better as a two-parter. But nevertheless, Joey and Christine both realise pretty quickly that actually getting married the day they meet each other, well, I guess the day after, is probably not the best idea. Which, of course, is a very sensible decision. And it's a really beautiful, joyful, happy episode, and everybody's having a great time. Michelle, not so much, because there are no cake and presents. Why is New Year's not a present-giving holiday? I feel like it should be. I don't like overly commercialization of holidays. I don't buy into excessive gifts for Valentine's and Easter and things. If other people do, absolutely fine. But at the same time, I feel like just giving somebody a small token of your affection at New Year would be a really lovely way to start the year. And I feel like that's a tradition that it would be really beautiful. But nevertheless, it's not. If you do New Year's presents, though, I'd love to know. That there will. I'm assuming there will be some people who exchange New Year's gifts. I'm just surprised. I'm surprised retail hasn't capitalised on this yet. Maybe one day they will. But for now, we can just enjoy the episode as a beautiful New Year's episode. Absolutely stunning. Really great fun. It might not have the most action. It might not be the most varied in terms of what happens. It's pretty straightforward, but I don't mind that at all. I think Happy New Year is a beautiful episode of Full House and definitely one that I thoroughly enjoyed.